Let's get started with our first news. Nate Diaz recently opened up about why he hasn't been inside the cage or ring since his boxing match last summer against Jorge Masvidal. That fight ended with Nate picking up the win via majority decision, and many fans were expecting him to be back in action not long after. However, during a conversation with MMA Junkie, Nate revealed the reason for his absence and what he's been waiting for. According to Nate, the biggest issue isn't his own willingness to compete, but the fact that the fighters he wants are simply not available. He explained that nobody is free, so there aren't anybody to fight. Nate has always been known as someone who stays ready, and he made it clear that his goal has been to fight 3 times a year. But with top opponents tied up under contracts, locked into matchups, or sidelined for various reasons, the opportunities haven't lined up the way he wants. Despite the delays, Nate insists that he's ready to go. He emphasized that it's only a matter of time before he's back in action, saying, "I'm trying to fight ASAP, and that's what's happening." That urgency shows that he's eager not just to compete again, but to do so as frequently as possible. Nate doesn't want to sit around waiting for the perfect matchup. His mentality has always been about stepping up and fighting whoever whenever, as long as the moment feels right. One of the most surprising parts of Nate's comments was his mention of fighting at the White House. He said, "100% I want to fight at the White House. That's the thing I'm most looking forward to." While it may sound unusual at first, it reflects Nate's personality, unpredictable, bold, and always looking to do something different. He thrives on making moments that people remember, and for him, fighting in such a historic and symbolic place would be the ultimate stage. Nate's attitude hasn't changed over the years. He's always been a fighter who values authenticity and staying true to himself, rather than following what the system dictates. His frustration about opponents being locked down is a reflection of the current fight business, where contractual obligations and promotional control limit flexibility. For someone like Nate, who doesn't play by the usual rules, it's a constant battle to find the freedom to fight when and where he wants. At the same time, Nate's hunger to compete shows no signs of fading. Even after years in the fight game and legendary battles with some of the sport's biggest names, his drive remains the same. He wants to stay active, he wants to stay relevant, and most of all, he wants to keep proving himself against whoever is willing to step across from him. As Nate waits for his next opportunity, his message to the fight world is clear: he's ready. Whether it's in the cage, the boxing ring, or even on the most unlikely stage like the White House, Nate Diaz is looking for his next fight, and when it happens, fans can expect fireworks. Meanwhile, Bryan Battle made headlines with a dominant performance of his own, absolutely destroying his opponent and reminding the MMA world that new contenders are always on the rise. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Rampage Jackson once again found himself in an uncomfortable situation, this time not in person but over the phone. The confrontation took place during a live stream and things quickly got tense. Someone brought up his son and the tone shifted immediately. The conversation started casually, with a simple introduction. "Do you know Top 5? Someone asked. Rampage replied honestly, "No, I don't know her." At that point, another voice jumped in, saying, "Yo, what's good, bro? I'm here with Rampage. I'm on stream." Then came the introduction. "Oh, what's up, Top 5? What's up, homie?" The voice on the other end didn't waste time. "Yo, your son is a monster," they said. Rampage immediately cut in, warning, "Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Bro, watch your mouth." The tension escalated quickly. The caller tried to repeat himself. Chill, you're a monster." Rampage didn't let it slide. "Yo, hey," he said, sounding frustrated. Then, as the moment hung in the air, he realized something wasn't right. "Oh no, you're right," he muttered, almost catching himself before emotions got out of control. The situation got messier. Yo, mother," the caller said, throwing out disrespectful words. Rampage clearly had enough. "Yo, Top 5, come on, bro. It's not, no, I'm hanging up." His frustration boiled over. "Who the mother?" he snapped, clearly done with the disrespect. At that moment, confusion set in for others listening. "Lol, Top 5, bro. Who the, why is he talking? You don't know what Top 5 is?" Rampage admitted, "I had no idea." That's when another voice explained, "He went to jail for a murder case and he beat the case. And he's Drake's shooter." That revelation shocked Rampage. "Why you talking about knocking me out, bro? Yo, top 5, bro, that's not cool, bro." He sounded both surprised and irritated that such a serious claim was being thrown at him casually, especially on a public stream. Trying to make sense of it all, Rampage asked, "Is he a rapper?" The answer came quickly, "Don't talk to my man like that. No, he's just a street guy." Rampage, still clearly irritated, repeated, "Is that what? Street guy?" The whole thing left him shaking his head, caught between disbelief and anger. The confrontation showed exactly why Rampage continues to attract so much attention both in and out of the fight world. His larger-than-life personality makes him a target for random challenges, disrespectful comments, and even unexpected threats. The situation highlighted how fast a light-hearted livestream can spiral into something heated. One moment he was being introduced to someone he didn't even know, and the next he was defending his name, his son, and his reputation from serious accusations. Rampage's reaction proved that he's still the same fighter at heart, quick to stand his ground when someone crosses the line. Even though this confrontation happened over the phone, the high intensity felt just as real as if it had gone down face to face. For Rampage, moments like this are reminders that respect means everything, and when it's crossed, he won't back down. Move on to another news. Merab Dvalishvili recently gave his thoughts on a potential matchup between Ilia and Islam, and his opinion definitely raised eyebrows. According to Merab, if the two were ever to step inside the octagon together, Ilia would not just compete, but he would finish Islam. That's a bold statement, especially considering how dominant Islam has looked as champion, but Merab broke down exactly why he feels that way. When asked about the hypothetical fight, Merab admitted it wouldn't be an easy road for Ilia. He said, "I hope it's going to happen, and it's going to be a tough fight for Ilia for sure. It won't be easy." But despite recognizing Islam's strengths, Merab still believes Ilia has the tools to pull off the victory. He explained that Ilia forces opponents into very difficult situations. Either they have to shoot for takedowns, which Ilia is more than capable of stuffing, or they're forced to stand and trade with him. And when it comes to striking, Merab emphasized that everyone already knows how Ilia fights, aggressive, relentless, and with that one-punch KO power. Merab pointed out that Ilia's pressure and ability to close the distance makes him a nightmare for any opponent, including someone as well-rounded as Islam. If Islam tries to wrestle, Ilia has the timing, the balance, and the defensive skills to shut it down. If Islam is forced into striking exchanges, that's where Ilia's danger becomes undeniable. He has a proven ability to land clean, powerful shots that can end a fight in an instant. "It's going to be tough for Ilia like every fight is," Merab said, "but I believe he can finish Islam." Those words carry weight considering Merab is a teammate of Aljamain Sterling and a respected contender himself. He knows firsthand the kind of grind and discipline it takes to compete at the highest level, and for him to back Ilia so strongly shows just how much confidence he has in the featherweight champion. What makes this potential fight so intriguing is the clash of styles. Islam is known for his suffocating wrestling, his ability to control opponents on the ground, and his underrated striking that sets up his grappling. Ilia, on the other hand, thrives in chaos. He welcomes the brawl, pushes forward, and doesn't let his opponents breathe. He's also proven he can deal with adversity, which makes him an incredibly dangerous opponent no matter how the fight unfolds. Merab's prediction highlights the growing respect that Ilia has earned across the fight world. He's not just seen as a dangerous featherweight anymore, he's being talked about as someone who could challenge the very best across multiple divisions. To suggest that he could actually finish Islam, a man considered nearly unbeatable, shows the level of belief Merab has in Ilia's abilities. At the end of the day, Merab didn't downplay the difficulty of such a fight. He acknowledged Islam's skill and dominance, but for him the combination of Ilia's striking, his power, and his relentless forward pressure gives him the edge. In Merab's eyes, Ilia is the one man capable of doing what so many believe is impossible, finishing Islam. Move on to another news. Tony Ferguson has done it. Against the odds, he pulled off the UPET and stopped Salt Papi via TKO in the third round. Heading into the fight, Tony was seen as a massive underdog, sitting at plus 340 on the betting lines. Many doubted him, many counted him out, but once again Tony showed the world that he still has that old spark left inside him. As soon as the fight ended, reactions from the MMA community came pouring in. Sadiq Youssef was one of the first to celebrate, saying, "Let's go Tony." That was a glimpse of like old school Tony. For longtime fans, this was exactly what they wanted to see. Ferguson looking like himself again, pressing forward, creating chaos and finding the finish. Referee Mark Goddard also gave his thoughts after the bout. He kept it short but meaningful, saying, "Yes, Tony, I'm just happy he's got out of there unscathed." That comment alone shows how much concern there has been for Ferguson's health in recent years, given the tough run he's had inside the cage. But on this night, Tony walked away with the win, and more importantly, without serious damage. Luke Thomas weighed in as well, noting Ferguson gets the win. Stoppage seemed a tad premature, but he was dealing with Salt Papi getting battered along the ropes. His point was clear, Salt Papi was taking damage, but the referee might have stepped in just a little too early. Still, Ferguson's pressure and offense had clearly shifted momentum, and he looked like the fighter in control. Helen Ye didn't hold back her excitement either. "It's Tony time, hell yeah, champion only. Congratulations." Her words echoed the joy of many fans who have stuck by Ferguson through his struggles, waiting for a moment like this. The celebration was about more than just a victory, it was about redemption. Then came MMA Guru's reaction, and as always, it was passionate and blunt. Tony Ferguson did it, folks. Year of the Young finishes Salt Papi in round 3. Looked like he was on his way to breaking Salt Papi, but Guru wasn't happy with the referee at all. Dumb old referee should lose his job though. That was the worst stoppage I've ever seen. Stupid geriatric old fart. Strong words, but they highlight the ongoing debate about whether the stoppage was too early. Finally, even BJ Penn joined in to congratulate Ferguson, saying, "Let's go El Kuki." For legends of the sport to rally behind Tony shows just how much respect he still commands within the fight community. This win will be remembered as a powerful reminder of what Tony Ferguson brings to the fight game. Against all odds, he showed flashes of the unpredictable, relentless style that once made him one of the most feared fighters in the world. Salt Papi had moments, but Tony's resilience, pressure, and willingness to push forward proved too much. The stoppage may be debated for days to come, but what cannot be denied is that Tony Ferguson won, and he did so in a way that reminded everyone of who he is, an unbreakable warrior who refuses to quit. Move on to another news. JDM's coach has made it clear that a fight with Khamzat is not a risk worth taking at this stage, especially with the UFC already booking the Australian welterweight champion against Islam on November 15th in New York City. The matchup is massive in itself, as Islam officially leaves behind the lightweight division and makes his move up to welterweight after his win over Renato Moicano earlier this year. That victory marked the end of his 155-pound run, and now stepping up by 15 pounds, he's daring to challenge one of the most dangerous champions in the sport. For JDM, this is a chance to defend his belt against a proven champion who has already established himself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. While many fighters would feel the pressure of facing Islam, his camp sees this as the right fight at the right time. He has been competing at welterweight consistently since 2016, carving out his dominance and proving himself as the division's top fighter. On the other hand, Islam has to adapt to a bigger weight class, and that might be where the difference lies in this contest. Even though Islam's team insists he has looked bigger, stronger, and more prepared than ever, the move up in weight is still a major storyline heading into the bout. And while this fight alone is enough to get fans buzzing, there's another name that continues to hang over the welterweight division: Khamzat. After his dominant performance at UFC 319, where he captured the middleweight title by defeating Du Plessis, Khamzat remains one of the most talked about fighters in the sport. Despite competing at 185 pounds, many still see him as a looming challenge for welterweight, with constant speculation about whether he'll drop back down and go after the belt. His aggressive style, relentless grappling, and undeniable aura have made him a nightmare matchup for nearly anyone, including champions. But coach Ben Vickers doesn't see it as a fight worth pursuing for his fighter. Speaking to Submission Radio, he said flat out, "I don't believe Khamzat can make welterweight." That statement alone dismisses much of the talk about a possible matchup, at least in the near future. For him, it's not about avoiding competition, it's about staying realistic. If Khamzat is thriving at middleweight, why risk his health trying to squeeze down another 15 pounds just to chase a fight at welterweight? From the perspective of JDM's camp, the real focus has to remain on Islam. This fight is not only a massive test but also an opportunity to make a statement. Defeating a champion like Islam, who has dominated at lightweight and now steps up to welterweight, would solidify JDM's legacy even further. It's the kind of fight that defines careers. While Khamzat's name will always float around because of his star power and dominance, for now the risk simply isn't worth it. The path forward is clear: defend the title against Islam, prove once again why JDM is the best at 170, and let the rest of the division fall into place. Move on to another news. Arman has officially booked his return to competition, and it comes at a time when his name is constantly being linked to a potential title fight with Ilia. For weeks, fans and analysts have been buzzing about the possibility of these two young stars colliding for the lightweight championship. The grudge between them has been building, and with Ilia's unbeaten record making him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport, a matchup with Arman feels almost inevitable. Arman has been out of action since last summer when he secured a huge title eliminator win over former champion Charles Oliveira. That victory should have paved the way for a title shot against Islam, but instead he was forced to sit on the sidelines as opportunities slipped by. Missing out on a championship fight was disappointing, but Arman hasn't let that slow him down. Instead, he's been staying active in other ways, keeping his skills sharp and proving that he's ready for whenever the UFC calls. Now, rather than waiting around for Ilia or Islam, Arman is set to compete again, but not in MMA. He's booked to appear at ACBJJ 18 this September in Moscow, Russia, where he'll take part in his third submission grappling match of the year. For him, it's about staying competitive, staying sharp, and making sure that when the time comes for his title shot, he's already battle-tested and in peak condition. This will be Arman's third outing on the mats in 2025, and so far he's been perfect. Earlier this year, he competed at a karate combat event where he earned a decision victory over Makasha Rybzainikov. Not long after, he stepped into the ADXC promotion and submitted former Bellator champion Patricky Pitbull with a slick rear naked choke. Those performances have shown that Arman is not only focused on MMA but also expanding his game, testing himself in pure grappling and adding even more weapons to his arsenal. The timing of this grappling match is interesting because it comes as speculation continues to grow about a fight with Ilia. The Spaniard has been on a tear, finishing opponents with devastating power and proving that he belongs in conversations about the very best in the world. The storyline of Arman versus Ilia is one fans can't ignore. Both are young, both are hungry, and both are on the cusp of defining their legacies. For Arman, staying busy outside of MMA means he'll be sharp and ready if the UFC decides to finally book that blockbuster fight. Even though the spotlight right now is on Islam's jump to welterweight and Ilia's dominance, Arman remains a top contender at lightweight. He's ranked number 2 in the world, and with his relentless pace, wrestling, and evolving skill set, he's the kind of fighter who can give anyone problems. For now, Arman will step onto the mats at ACBJJ 18, looking for his third win of the year in grappling, but make no mistake, his eyes are still firmly set on Ilia and the lightweight title. Every match he takes, every victory he earns outside of the octagon, is just another step toward proving that he's ready for the biggest fight of his career.